All right, I get to use this. Oh, I love doing that. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Before we launch into the agenda, I'm going to read this little tidbit from the governor. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This meeting of the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted both in person at the meeting location listed above and via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting live may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 26 or online at www.northandovercam.org. In-person attendance of members of the public and board members will be permitted, and every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. If the public would like to participate in public hearings but not attend the meeting in person, please email your question, comment prior to or during the meeting to jbattersby@northandoverma.gov, and that is JBATTERSBY. Question, comment will be read during the proceedings and responded to accordingly. With that, let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, first order is acceptance of the minutes.
Do I make a motion to accept the minutes as written?
All right, any discussion? Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. That was quick. Okay, next item. Continued public hearing, 53 French Farm Road. Request for withdrawal of petition.
My name is Attorney Rick Byers, representing the applicant. After the last meeting, the applicant decided that they would take some time to try to decide what they want to do going forward. So it's going to take some time. They decided they'd rather withdraw without prejudice, and that's why I'm here.
Okay. Any comments, discussions? No, sir. All right. Do I hear a motion to withdraw the application?
I make a motion that we allow him to withdraw without prejudice.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Application is withdrawn without prejudice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Which leads us to new public hearing of 161 Campbell Road. And I assume that's one or more of you back there. Yeah, okay. Clerk, Mr. Clerk, want to read the notice?
The petition of William McCarthy and Pamela McCarthy for property, where am I jumping? No, let me start from the beginning.
Notice, that's just the agenda.
We got it. Notice is hereby given that the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing at the North Andover Town Hall at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Mass. on Tuesday, June 14, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. to all parties interested in the petition of William McCarthy and Pamela McCarthy for property at 161 Campbell Road, map 106B, parcel 79, North Andover, Mass. 01845 in the R2 zoning district. Applicants are requesting a special permit pursuant to Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section I-95-4.2Q, family suite in the R2 zoning district for the purpose of construction in addition for a family suite onto the existing home. Applicants are requesting a variance pursuant to Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195-2.2, specific words and phrases for the purpose of constructing an addition for a family suite onto the existing homes. Specifically, applicants are requesting a relief variance of 219 square feet gross floor area, GFA. Existing GFA, or principal dwelling unit, is 3,724 square feet. Proposed family GFA is 1,150 square feet. Example, 30.8% maximum GFA allowed is 931 square feet. Looking for a 25% of principal dwelling unit. Application and supporting materials are available for review at the office of the zoning department located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Mass. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Friday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. By order of the Board of Appeals. Ron R. Fagan, Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, who's here, and could you, come up to the table and introduce yourselves, please?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board tonight. My name is Bill McCarthy, my wife Pamela McCarthy, and also joining us is my son Tyler McCarthy. We live at 161 Campbell Road. We've been there for 31 years. And my son, who grew up in that house, is, in a letter I wrote to you, that he's looking, for a larger family in the future. Well, the future's here. His second child is due in December. And the current house he has now in Haverhill is just not large enough. He needs to get a larger home. He would love to move back to North Andover, but due to the amount of homes and the cost of those homes, it just wasn't something that was realistic. So we started talking as a family, how could we help him get over here to North Andover? And that's when we came up with looking into a family suite that not only would get him and his family into North Andover back to where he grew up and grew in the house that he actually grew up in, but it would give my wife and I the opportunity to stay in North Andover. And so we explored that idea. We started this, last fall, and we found out we had the room to do it, meet all the setbacks, and we came up with the plan that we have before you tonight. So we're here to answer any questions that you have for us.
Okay, thank you. So is she open for discussion? Questions from the board? Well, go ahead.
I drove out and looked at your house today, a nice-looking house. I run on that road quite a bit, so
Okay.
I'm familiar with it, half
Okay.
mile down the road.
Yeah.
And I like the woods, I like the quietness, back there. And so I'm just curious, the lot size, the distance between, you have neighbors on both sides of you. So what is the, so one is kind of in the, well, they're both, there's woods that, but what is the lot distance between the house and the neighbors on both sides?
So if you have the plan in front of you, if you're
And-
looking at my home,
And I should have said this, I'm sorry, but that there was a letter where someone was talking about that with your, I guess, so the side, the side that would be closer towards 114, that that would be 25 feet closer to their house. And so that's why I was curious about what is the total distance between where your addition would be to their house.
so that house where the addition would be on, my house sits back a little bit further than that home. So that home is more towards Campbell Road. Mine is more back towards the back of the lot. It would actually be 21 feet. So the back of the proposed addition would go out 21 feet. Then there's 30 feet to the property line. Then there's my neighbor's 30 feet to the property line. And then there's the distance, the remaining distance from where their house is located to the property line. So if I was going to their backyard, to their property line would be, 60 feet to meet their property. But to meet their house, which is further out, I would say it's well over 100 now, and I would say we would still be, 80 to 90 feet away.
So tell me if I understood this correctly, that from the addition, it would be 30 feet to the edge of your lot line before, so that would
Just
be.
the back, just the back. The front would be, it could be 50 or 60 to the
Okay.
property line. Because my house is at an angle,
Right,
the lot goes this way. So the front has a lot, the front, which is more in line with my neighbor's house, there's much more room. As the lot goes back,
so
Yes.
minimum of 30 feet, and it could be significantly more, is what you're saying.
Well, it's 30
it's
feet
30
to their
feet.
property.
Yeah, it's 30 feet to the property line, then their 30 foot to their property line, and then the distance, which I'm assuming is another 30. I'm probably, even with this addition, probably 90 feet away.
Okay, thank you.
What's the size of your current house? Is it, because in the neighbor's letter, she made some comment about being 2,100 square feet.
Yeah,
But I see this 3720.
I met with the neighbor, so I was, I thought we had a good conversation. I spoke with them twice. Once when we were thinking about it, I had her over to, just to
Right.
tell her that, this is what we're planning. And then when I had the plans, I said I would come back. It took a while, so
Right.
it was last fall when I spoke to her, and then I spoke to her probably, I don't know, 5 weeks ago. And there was concern. I went over and visited. She came out, and she definitely had reservations. She was concerned about windows facing her property, and I explained that my windows already face your property. She was concerned that, the addition's windows. So I said, why don't you come on over? Her boyfriend came out. I invited them both over. I said, I can go over with the plans there. I can show you the footprint. I actually had it spray painted in the yard. And, so I brought them over with the plan so we could go over them, show them what the windows would look like. She stepped inside and she said, wow, this is small.
Right.
And I made the comment, I said, yeah, I got brand new furniture, and I'm trying to figure a way out to get it in this new addition. And her boyfriend Jeff commented, well, you should put the furniture in before they put the walls up. So
Okay.
they realized it wasn't the size. I think that it was more of the, they liked their privacy. We discussed the foliage that we have. My wife and I would, be interested in putting up arborvitaes, just in case we're sitting in the back. I mean, now in our home, we sit on our deck, we look out at the back. I mean, we would be more on that side of the yard now. So we discussed, shrubbery in the future. And, but, I did mention to her that if, you're very concerned about, the privacy, that you could put up some additional shrubbery on your yard. And she had mentioned that she tried to do it in that wooded area, and she said it all died. Well, it would need to be in her yard with his son. The same problem on that side of my home. And I think some of the photos you'll see, there's a lot of pines that have just blown over in the wind. They've died because they don't get the other trees have all, overtaken them. But, so, they had the plan. I knew they had reservations, but they said that they'll review it, and I think more of it was the concern of their privacy, and I appreciate that. But again, I said, you can call me. The meeting is, it's in June. I believe it's June 14th. If you have any questions, give me a call, and I'll go over any, things about I gave her all the plans, so she had everything. Again, I knew she had reservations, but I didn't know that, she was, she's not in favor of it.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Yeah, so.
the square footage of the house, I'm just trying to find it here, it's 2928? What page is that on?
It's on your application. I'm crafty that way.
All right.
So, it seems like that added square footage is still a somewhat normal size house for that area of North Andover. It doesn't seem like it's making it.
Right, so the neighbor that is on my driveway side is a much bigger house than mine. The thing about Campbell Road, there's a variety of homes. It's not like a newer neighborhood where they build and they all look alike. There's a variety of style homes. But my neighbor who's, on the driveway side, their house is much bigger. I think they're like 36, almost 3,700. Lions Way, which is directly across the street from me, all of those homes, a high threes, if not four. So they're all big homes, and they're my neighbors.
From the letter, I sort of had the impression that this was going to be, a big monstrosity within that area, but it seems like it fits right in with the surrounding homes, and that's.
Well, that was important to us. When we talked about of doing this, we wanted it to look like nothing was added. We wanted it where it fits the neighborhood, it fits the house. So if you look at that, I've had a lot of people tell me it looks like it's always been there.
Right,
We didn't want,
certainly doesn't-
we're
it
not
certainly
seeking
doesn't look like it could
driveways,
be a duplex.
garages. We want it to look like it's still our single-family home, which it's gonna be. It's just, the intent is my wife and I would move into the family suite, and my son, his wife, daughter, and new child would move into the main house. So we actually looked at, one single story. It just didn't fit. It would have been too wide, too long. It looked awkward. So the architect came up with this, and when we saw it, we said, "Wow, that looks great." And the four of us looked at it, Tyler and his wife Rose and Pam and I, and we all said, "Geez, that looks good." And that was important to us. We wanted it to look like it belongs there, and that it doesn't take over the house. And that was the main thing that the architect, I think.
And it doesn't
Good.
look like a two-family.
Right.
Yeah, because there was a comment about that in the letter as well, and I don't see how that could be mistaken for being a duplex. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Have we determined that the gross square feet of this particular dwelling, Ellen, is 2928?
I'm just curious, do you add the
Because
detached garage to the calculations? So you add the 37, wait, now I have to put my glasses back on. 3782 total then. And then,
I was going to say that
And then
the
25%,
notice
right.
mentions 3,700, not 2,800. So
even though it's detached, it's considered,
Covered porches,
okay.
basements.
So what are we gonna use for the arithmetic number for the total square footage? The 29 that's on the application?
That's what was determined, was the both, 3782.
3782?
Yeah, which is the 2928 plus the 796 of the garage.
They just seem to be, so 37 what?
3782,
82.
not 24.
20,
3724.
796 plus 2822.
You know, and first of all, I understand
Can't see.
to the laws of the
3724.
the town of North Andover, that you can build this thing with no variances. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, that you don't even need to come here?
Not for it to be a family suite.
Yeah,
Not for it to be a family, he can build the structure.
Right, you didn't give me a chance to finish. That you could build this structure, okay, without any variances at all, okay,
Yes.
because of the way it's laid out.
Right.
However, I'm looking at these plans, and in reality, excuse me, I'm in the apartment business, and I'm looking at a apartment house with a bath and a half. All right? And my problem is this, as quoted in the letter that we received, thing, this is a wonderful thing for you and your son, okay? That is a wonderful application. However, you and your son aren't gonna be here forever. And now the town is gonna be left with a two-family home out on Campbell Road.
Except that you're not allowed to have two families in there,
I understand, but when they hit the real estate listing, Michael, they go out as an apartment for rent. And I don't wanna throw stones at Mr. Hutchinson or his department for not catching two families that are there. Yeah, but they kinda slide in. And this has a separate entrance off the porch,
I mean, not
okay, and a separate exit out the back.
I mean, not only would they not be allowed to rent it out, but that if they wanted to give it to a family member in a similar circumstance, they would have to come here again for another special permit.
Well,
But
I mean,
that's
That
by-
special permit is not transferable.
if I could comment on that,
Good.
because it was brought to my attention that, you know, what happens when you leave.
I understand that, it's
So,
gonna happen.
I'm trying to do this the right way to what
I
it is,
understand.
to what it is, okay? So-
I get
And
it.
this is why we're here tonight.
I understand.
We hope, you know, knock on wood, that we're gonna be in that home for a good 30 years,
Yeah.
okay? The intent is, my son has already decided, well, again, anything can change, but he, at that point, would be able to move in there the same way my wife and I are. This house has been in our family for 31 years. We well expect it to be into the family a lot longer. I'm not investing all this money and time and think about selling this property in the future. This is a long-term, and anyone can say what they want about, well, you can't predict I can't predict if my neighbor is gonna rent her house.
My father died in a car accident. He was here today, gone tomorrow.
Right,
And
right,
So none of us can predict the future.
right.
And I have to congratulate you and applaud you for trying to do this legal. However, for myself, I cannot personally grant what I'm looking at as the two-family home, okay? However, and I want to be explicit, I'm aware that you can just build it. Just build it,
To an extent.
okay,
To an extent.
okay? But I don't want
Structurally.
this thing floating around 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Gee, you know that's an in-law.
Well-
Okay, that the in-law is there already.
So we've looked at.
And that's assuming that somebody wants to uphold all the laws. Somebody just wants to buy a house, buys a house, hey, I got a two-family here, I'm gonna stick somebody in here. And now we've upset all the neighbors on Campbell Street. Now, I'm only one vote out of 5, but that's my opinion. And if you've been to enough meetings, I haven't changed my opinion.
I haven't
Right,
been,
right,
I
these
I haven't been
families.
to any meetings.
Well, anybody here knows.
How many two-family suites have you voted for?
He has actually, he's done a
I
few.
have.
Okay.
Somebody's
He's
voting
Yes.
for him because there's a lot.
So here's
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
gonna say.
we've looked around town, and there's actually family suites that are larger than ours. A lot of people have built these with garages underneath, that it's even a bigger structure. We're only trying to put something.
I applaud you. I see what you're trying to do. I have the architecturals here, okay? It's a wonderful job. You're adding this on and it blends right in with the house. I'm not gonna argue anything that you're doing. All I'm saying, for me, I can't give you, okay, with my real estate knowledge, the blessing of a two-family home, because that's what I'm looking at. And a family suite, for me, and maybe I'm crazy, I'm 74, should be for an elderly person. Okay, that somebody wants to move a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, you know, an elderly person in, and care for them so they're not going to a nursing home.
So, I mean, that is gonna be us.
But yeah, but you're talking the son's gonna move in there with his family.
No, what I'm saying, he's moving into the main home, we're moving into the family suite. We're thinking,
Are you ready for a nursing home?
we're thinking about our future, where, you know, at some point, we might need assistance from my son. Do we have to wait to that point? We'll, you know, we might not be able to do this in the future. You know,
Just build it. I'm saying just build it.
you know what?
They can't build what they want to build. They can build the walls, sure, but that's going to be the
The
extent of
only
it.
thing he's not gonna get is the designation of a family suite.
Last month, and I understand every application is different, but this is deja vu for me. Because last month, we had an applicant who was doing an exterior exit from the family suite, and it was on a second floor. And you just sat here and said, you're hoping to grow old in this place. That's what you want. So essentially, I'm sitting here looking 30, 40 years down the road, and I'm seeing you wobbling down the second floor, falling, and then hoping that your wife isn't having to go outside in the middle of the cold to go get your son in the main house.
I'm glad it's him that fell and not me.
Men go quicker.
So.
That's what I'm seeing. So I'm sitting here looking at this going, I understand what you want. And I understand being in the home for 30 years. I live in the home that I was brought home from the hospital in. I appreciate that fact. I do. But I don't see this being something that is practical in that aspect. On top of the fact that it is large. And I understand trying to make it look like it fits. But we have to take into consideration the size. And I think if you talk to anybody who's older, much older than you guys, 80s, going up and down the stairs, that kind of, to me, defeats the purpose of setting this up for you to stay in your home to make it functional for you. Having to go inside and outside. You're looking at your son, if you're needing care and help in your home, having to come outside in the middle of winter to go over. I just don't see the practicalness. And I think that, in part, is where a lot of people see an issue. That this doesn't connect the main house. It's physically connected, sure, but there's no door from the inside of the family suite going to the main house.
But that's an easy fix. I mean, so.
But that's not what's in front of
But
me.
if that well, right at this moment, we'd like to see privacy for my son and his family, and maybe
And I appreciate that. But if the purpose, which is what you just said, so that when you are older, and perhaps you're not at the point where you need care, but you might need your son or your daughter-in-law, grandkids, because that's what they're there for, right, to help, I'm seeing in and out in the middle of winter.
But again, I mean, I hope at 80 years old that I am not staying in a home, that I'm going outside. So
I hope you're living in something like this.
I'm going to be going out at 80 years old. I work with a lot of people that are in their
I don't want you wobbling up and down stairs.
Well, I mean, again, do we know if I'm going to be wobbling or am I going to be extremely healthy? I take care of myself now. I mean, we're looking at things down the road. This is something, I think the family suite is something about keeping families together and bringing a family back to North Andover.
I don't dispute that at all.
And this is what this project does. And if in the future we have a situation where I am wobbling, then I certainly can do something on the first floor. But again, we're looking at something that people are automatically suggesting that I'm not going to be able to make the second floor.
Your wife might not be able to make the second floor.
Well, we both take good care of ourselves.
I understand that, but age is something that's going to get to every single one of us, myself included, and I think I'm the youngest one in the room.
All right, but I mean, there is 80-year-old people that still live in their homes today and live on the second floor. That's what we expect to do.
They do.
So let me ask you a question. What is the sacrifice you make? Let's separate the two issues. One is the family suite, and the other one is the size of the family suite. So let's just focus on the size for a minute. What is the sacrifice you make if you do it to the allowed size?
To 931?
Yeah.
We'd probably lose the downstairs bathroom. And the reason for that is, you know, as Alexandria is stating, extra, as we get older, extra up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs. I don't know how many people don't have a bathroom. It's a half bath. It's a small half bath. We wouldn't have a kitchen area. We wouldn't have a table to sit and eat. In the drawing, you see a eating area. That's not what we want. We've already told the architect. That's going to be a preparation area for cooking. It's not going to be a seating area. That's why we have that little bump out. You know, we really, really tried. Again, we would have been happy with a one-story. It just would not fit. It would not fit. It would have looked awkward. It wouldn't have fit the neighborhood. The architect came up with this, and when we saw it, we said, that's it. And physically, it's not going to look differently from people driving by the home or my neighbors that it's 931 or 1147.
No, I understand that. And
But
just to confirm, you build it as you want, and you still have not violated any setbacks. Let me ask the question, the trees that your neighbor was concerned about losing, are they on your property?
Yes, so there was one tree that I approached her about last year. Whether or not I did this, the tree concerned me. It's the largest tree on the lot. It leans currently at my house. It's a tree that has one trunk, but it splits to three. They're both three large branch, part of the tree. Yes.
Number 3.
It currently would hit my house if it comes down. With the addition, it would certainly crush it. So I discussed with her. She did mention, well, I like it because it's, it makes some privacy. But when I explained it, it's a safety, I would feel terrible if this, knowing that it's there, and it came down and hurt somebody or killed somebody. And Jeff, her boyfriend, he said, I understand that, you're talking safety. So I didn't think there was an issue that she had with that tree. Other trees, I don't know what she's talking about. A lot of the trees in those photos they just blow over in the wind. They're small. Now that I know that is my property, I plan on going in there, cleaning it up, and I'm assuming we're going to have some good new growth. You can see from the photos now, and again, it's hard from the photo. I think if you came to my yard, you would see the outlines of people's houses better than a photograph does. So I don't want to be, you can't see it at all. I mean, you got to look there. But it's my neighbor across the street, you can't see. I took a picture of the, I took, 4 sides just to show what my lot looks like. And even the neighbor where the addition side is going, at this time, you got to look close to see portions of the house. I think if you look at those photos, you see her air conditioning unit if you look closely. Again, is that all year round? No, it's not. But again, I have talked to her that, and this was part of the conversation that I thought went fairly well, that we could get somebody who's professional to tell us what type of shrubbery we could put in there. And evidently, from the letter, I guess that's not the case. But
No, but I think what I'm getting at is, if those trees are on your lot, you can cut them down.
You got trees, right?
well, the issue is I have to go through conservation because they're within the 100-foot. So I wouldn't just cut them down. I'm going to have the conservation come out and let me know. Can I take? They're going to look at it. It's at 95 feet. There's a tree. Well, there's a tree that's at probably 105. I can cut it down. It's dying. I mean, I didn't take a picture of it, but it's a tall pine that's dying.
If you want to cut the trees down, put a
No, I understand.
chicken coop there.
I understand.
I didn't mean to distract from
He
the
has
issue
to
at
go
hand.
through conservation.
No, put a chicken coop.
You can't cut a tree down in
You can't put a chicken coop in there.
No, all I was trying to do is kind of isolate the issues. All right?
Cut down trees. Well, is that right?
Yes.
Can I ask a question or
Please-
actually make
please
a
do.
comment?
Please do.
So, we just recently sold our home in North Andover, and I'm going to tell you that 1,147 square feet is extremely small, as opposed to 930, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, 931. That's a big difference, because we're renters now. So that is a huge difference, that small amount. In perspective, it's 30% as opposed to 25% the addition. So you're not looking at a 50% increase of the building. I know this is coming out of my mouth, and you guys are all shocked. No, I'm saying, well, it should be, you know. If you put it in perspective, it's an additional 5%. If you look at all the numbers, to have that little bit of space, and again, maybe a couple months ago I would have thought differently, but looking at rental units and knowing the difference between 900 and 1,100 is huge, absolutely huge. And it's 5% more. That's all they're asking for. I think it might be a little bit better if you have an entrance to the two, more of a family suite, open up the two ways so you can go in the event that either one of you have to go into someone's unit, to have that full connection there. So for me, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, totally. And in the event that you have to, I know it's a first, and in the event that you have to live on the first floor, you have that option, possibly making that bathroom maybe with a shower or something, that you can live on the first floor.
And again, I want to stress, I mean, I think the neighbor was concerned that somehow this is going to create a new neighborhood of multifamily residential homes. We have no intention of leaving. Again, I would not go through this, all the surveying and the cost that we've already incurred for it. We want to bring my son's family back. We want him to come to the home that he grew up in. He's going to be a great addition to the town of North Andover. He was a great, well, I'm not going to get into it. I'm embarrassing him, but I'll hear about this later. But again, I'm biased. And again, this has given me the opportunity. If I sold him the house, I couldn't afford, because I'm not going to, get what people are getting for their homes, because right now he can't afford what they're doing. So I would be moving out of North Andover. And again, I think this is what, and I agree. It's a family suite, a lot of times is for one elderly family member. There's two of us. There's two of us that are going to be in this home. That this gives us a little room in the house.
Space from your spouse?
Yes.
Not much space, but a little.
Right. I mean, yeah. No, we know this is a big change. This is a big change for us, but it's something that we want to do, and I think this is what the family suite is for. Also, I think it's helping families. Things have changed. We all know that. People can't afford things, and this gives an opportunity for us to remain in North Andover and get my son's family in there, and it provides for us for the future. And again, I honestly don't see physically what the size of this would be, but it would be a lot to us. We would lose a lot. We would, not have a small kitchen sitting area, the half bath. We'd like to be able to do laundry. So it's a one bedroom. And the bathroom is upstairs, will be our main bath, but there's a bathroom downstairs for us. The stairs takes up quite a bit of square footage. We need to put stairs in. So I'm actually going to take the chimney down, because we were going to build around the chimney, but we even lost more square footage. So I think it's a good plan. I think it fits there. It's not going to create any problems for the neighborhood, and we're going to be there, for a long, long time. And I know my son's going to be there for a long time. So respectively, I disagree that this is an apartment, and it's going to be turned into it's not going to happen. My son is, it's not going to happen. And, I knock on wood that, people say, well, you might not be here.
You've been here a while.
We're hoping, but, people keep saying it. I don't want something to happen, so.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah, so.
So I'm going to jump in because I'm focused on the size. as well. I mean, when Alexandra said that we got deja vu all over again, and that's kind of what I feel. This isn't nearly as gross as French Farm was, but the size is kind of extraordinary. We're butting up against, the maximum in the code. In my mind, a family suite is something that's supposed to be extraordinarily modest. It's not something that is designed to be, entertaining, which is what French Farm was seeking to do. I mean, we've seen some extraordinary stuff come through in the family suite department. So when I look at the size, and I'm looking across the table here at Ms. McIntyre, because she said it's another 5%, and I think that's the math that I'm wondering about.
Bentley, uh-oh.
Because when I see if the quick calculation, the 25% on the 3724 is 931, that's what's in the notice. 1150 is what we have in the notice. So the delta between the 1150, which is what is asked, and the 931, which is the calculated max, is 219 square feet. And if I do the math, 219 over 931, that's 23.5% increase. So it's not nearly as modest an increase as I think you were having in mind.
I think the 5% is 5% of the total.
I did as a total.
As a total, well,
Yeah.
this is 23.5% larger than the calculated max.
Okay.
And that percentage, to me, matters. In fact, because it's 50 square feet shy of the max of 1,200, which is what's articulated in the code. And again, the code says, I don't care how big your house is, you could have a 20,000 square foot house, but the maximum size of the family suite is going to be 1,200 square feet. We're within 4.16% of the ceiling here. And like just the size itself, to me, I struggle. And again, you don't care about my struggle because tonight's my last night on the board. So if this is continued to August, then my opinion is absolutely moot.
We're not meeting in July?
No July.
No, you get a month off.
Well, it's actually, and not that it's going to make a difference, it still comes out to 30.8. We're requesting 5.8 increase. It's 1147. I need 216. It's 216 feet over what it was.
Yep, I see 219, but the numbers are all over the place. I can never figure this stuff out. I've confessed it to Mr. Hutchinson over and over again because I look at these numbers, and if the ground floor square footage of the main house is 1486, if I multiply that times 2, it's 2,972. The application says 2928, so I'm like missing 44 square feet, and I just spin after that because it continues. Like there's a waterfall of these rounding calculations. I'm sure it's probably duct work or a chicken coop.
Exactly the same square footage as the first floor, and that's usually what happens there.
Now, the top floor overhangs, I spoke with the building inspector, there is a farmer's porch that's covered.
Yeah.
That's 94 square feet. Again, I looked thoroughly into it before we took this step, because it financially, it's been a big expense.
Yeah.
So I made sure before I got to this point that, I'm following all of the guidelines. And again, the formula is the same formula that, I saw on other applications. There are other applications that ask for, and were approved, that ask for more than 5.8%. And I know every application is different. I understand that. I can't compare my application to the application that you're describing from last week. That was over 1,000 square feet more than I'm asking for. Again, I bring up these garages that people put in these, and then they build the family suite above it, and I'm not asking for a garage. I'm asking for living space. That's all I'm asking for. And, again, there's been other family suites that are larger than ours right now in North Andover.
So since you've said we're not comparing to other family suites, let's not continue down that path. So once again, it would be, you could build this, just come in for a family suite, the special permit, which is easy. I differ with Mr. Kusha on these, because I think that the range of the family suite, the intention of the family suite, the keeping the families together, the keeping folks close. I absolutely appreciate Mr. Kusha's looking down the road that this is something that can be abused. And in my mind, if something can be abused, then that's why we have the code enforcement officers. If there is a problem, then I've got to believe in the North Andover staff folks, in particular the one that we have installed at present. So I worry a lot less about that. Nonetheless, I still wonder why we can't comply with the code. As Mr. Kusia said, you could just build this. Take the stove out and you can build this. You don't even have to come in front of the board for anything whatsoever. If you just come before us for a special permit for the family suite, the use is, again, to me, a breeze. You've got all the family members here, super close. They're all here, ready to testify. So therefore, the only thing that I struggle with is why can't this be 931 square feet? I heard you say that it's a one-bedroom apartment. I totally get it, and my one-bedroom apartment was 488 square feet. So I mean, the relativity of everybody's individual experiences and what we are now. Nonetheless, as I said earlier, the code codifies that family suites are supposed to be modest. That they're not necessarily supposed to be, two floors with a kitchen with an eating counter and an eating nook, for crying out loud. One and a half baths. I mean, these are all amenities. These are all luxuries. And a family suite is, they used to be called in-laws because you stick your mother-in-law, over in the corner. In a dungeon, and I'm not suggesting that we stick you guys in the basement in the corner with this much light. What I am, however, suggesting is that 1,150 square feet, which is certainly butting the maximum that the code allows in the first place, and is something that you need a variance for. It's just something I would encourage, a relook at. And again, I can't imagine there's a person on the board that cares what I think. They're going to kick me in the butt on the way out the door and never see me again, which is welcome change for me, all of you.
I'm upset that you don't agree with me in some things.
Well, that's been a lot of the fun, frankly.
I get it.
So anyway, I'm guessing that this is headed to July, so I'm gonna zip it since I'm not gonna have a vote on this.
Any more questions?
I am as well. This is my last night after 27 years, so this is my last night as well, and I will not have a vote. So, again, I just
Well,
in perspective.
I wouldn't mind if you voted.
I actually am not going to be living in North Andover. I'm moving out of North Andover, so I can't
Unless
have a
we vote
vote.
tonight.
Unless you vote
That's what
tonight.
happened.
So, I mean, in perspective, again, if you're going from a 3,000 square foot home to 931 square feet is startling. It's just, I mean, trust me, I've been around, I've been looking, and just, we're going to rent for a year or two before we get another place. It's just the difference, that small little 5% difference is amazing. Just
If I might get on my soapbox, because I feel like everybody else is getting on their soapbox tonight. As somebody who did not grow up in this town, I relatively recently moved here. I think one of the real treasures of this town is its intergenerational aspect. We have families that have been here for, as we like to celebrate now, 375 years. You look at the plot from 1646 and you see the same, 6 families in the same, 6 plots of land, right? And I am looking at the current generation, my generation, your son's generation, and we are getting priced out of our parents' communities. And it is not the job of this board to solve that crisis. There are so many components to that crisis that we don't have control of. But I would hate for this board to be standing in the way of what I think is a reasonably creative solution. And so I applaud you guys for your ingenuity. I applaud you guys for being willing to tolerate each other to this level. I understand that in itself is its own sacrifice. And I certainly understand the concerns about size, but on some level, I would personally, and again, I'm only one vote, or I'm not even a vote right now. Maybe in August I will be, but that's for a different thing. We'll see. I would like to see us as a board do what we can to be supportive of that, rather than do what we can to make it difficult.
I don't not support this, okay? I have my father in my house. We don't have a family suite, so I have to put up with him far more. I understand it, I do. I like what you're doing, but sometimes the first plan that we're seeing, and I understand you guys have worked through it, the first plan we're seeing doesn't do it necessarily. And I'm not sitting here saying no. My father loves being around his 2 grandchildren 24/7. I love that he goes for naps for them. It's amazing. I love this. I'm not, against that. And I understand the price problem, and I understand being, wanting to be close. But I don't like that you can't go from one to the other. So that right there is a potential, as you said, easy fix, right? The size just bugs me a little bit. I'm not necessarily saying, again, don't want you in a shoebox. I know you want space. I know you don't want your wife killing you. I understand it.
It is a shoebox. It's small.
My apartment was 800 and something square feet.
But you were alone.
I was alone.
And you were on
There's two of us.
one floor.
And
We tried.
And Liz, I will tell you, the 2 floors already bugs me, but I understand that you guys aren't wanting to have a bowling alley running down your property to make it 1 floor, okay? I get that. So I can budge on one spot, but I'll tell you, I can't budge because I don't like that there is no connection from the main house to the family suite. I don't like it. End of story.
So can I ask, is that a requirement for?
It's not, but I sit here and look at it as if the purpose of a family suite is to, 1, keep the family together, right? 2, to allow for your children to be able to aid in your care minimally as needed, right? If those are the goals and the focus, and to keep a unity, right? I don't see your 2-year-old grandchild going out the front door, over the porch in the middle of winter, and into your unit to spend time with grandma and grandpa.
So can I just?
I don't see that.
So she comes from Haverhill during the winter now, and comes to our house. See, she has to go outside.
Right, but that's different because that's a situation that's there. You're creating this situation, so you're the master of this plan. So if you want to put a door right through your first floor going into the main house's family room and right next to your bathroom, you can.
I understand it. So that's something that we've thought about, that it's something very easy for us to do in the future if it's needed.
But it's not here now, and that bugs me. Because I guess I sit here and say, you sit here and say, it's something we can put in the future if needed, and I sit here and say, well, why don't you put it now?
Because
Why don't you put a pocket there, a pocket door?
Well, I did. I want to give his family a
That
little
is
bit of
privacy. A door, a solid wood door that you would put on a bedroom is not going to disrupt.
Well, I know my son did say to the architect, can you make sure that the walls are very, very thick?
And listen, I get it.
My dog, and I feel bad.
Right.
And I get it. Living with family isn't necessarily a perfect solution. I told you, I live with my father. We don't have a family suite. I yell at him 24/7 to turn the TV down, okay? I get it. But I'm not seeing a give here. And when I'm looking at it saying, bring the size down a little bit, you're probably still going to be asking for more than what is allowed. But you got to give somewhere. And if you're going to fight over putting a pocket door in now, that kind of just further sits here and says to me, well, why don't you
No,
want them connected?
if you're telling me tonight that if you tell me to put a door in, that this was passed tonight, then I'm going to put a door in. But again, you're already against the size, and this is not the first thing that we've seen. There was something that was boxy. It didn't look right. The architect designed this and said, here's the look. That's what we went with. And again, we're looking at neighbors, people driving by are not going to look at this and see the difference in the size. But like Mrs. McIntyre says, it's going to make a major difference to our day-to-day life. There's 2 of us. And again, we've already said that most of these are done for one elderly person.
We've seen plenty done for 2. We've seen plenty that are done for a husband and a wife. We have. And there have been plenty of times where people have come in and sat here and said, we've gone through this for months with the architect and the contractor. This is the best we're getting. and miraculously, they come back the next month and they have reworked it, and it does work. And it might not be 100% what the board wants, and it might not be 100% what the applicant wants, but at the end of the day, everybody's leaving a little bit unhappy and a little bit happy. That's in many ways how things have worked when it's comes through the board. Is it you find a way to, get a few inches off here and a thing off here and shrink this a little bit and maybe rework that a little bit.
But
It's
I
possible.
I understand, but what I'm hearing is what you are telling us, what you would like it to be like. Like, you're saying, I can't believe you're gonna put a second floor on. We would like to have the second floor because the first floor doesn't work. You want us to put a door in where they want to be able to have some privacy. I'm
Then just
hearing-
build an addition.
Well, and again, we're saying to Alan, don't,
Just
we're trying to, we
listen,
came.
build your
look at-
4 walls.
We didn't have to, we understand we didn't have to, we want to do it what it is. It's a family suite, and this is why we came to this
But you're
board.
asking for us to give you something more than what the family suite allows.
I understand, but I think we're asking something that is a small amount. And that's all why we're here, is asking for something that is a small amount. It is not gonna, I think even at 931, it's not gonna change your mind. You're calling it an apartment. Mr. Koch, you don't like the idea of the two-story either. So the 931 is not gonna make the difference. You're not,
If I can interrupt you without sounding rude, okay? I started off this whole evening, okay, against my wishes of my fellow caucus. What you were looking, in my opinion, for us to do is give the blessing of this project, okay? For whatever reasons, we've all had differences. Me, right now, what you want to do is use it as a two-family, your family and your son's family. So when you're saying you're not building a two-family, that's your explicit purpose is for a two-family. Paul has reservations about the size, he's right up to the limit. Alex has different things. Ellen has just moved, so she's a little square footage sensitive, okay? You can build this. Some of us are saying, you're not gonna get our blessing for a two-family, which down the road is, my problem is, down the road, it's gonna be a two-family, okay? Build it, okay? Just do what you wanna do. And the only thing you're missing is the blessing of the family suite. You can still build it. There's nothing that's stopping you from building it. And as far as the trees go, they're your trees. You can do whatever the hell you want
He
with
has
the
to go
trees.
to conservation.
Okay, he goes to conservation, okay? Okay, build it. Build it.
I think by going through this process, though, we and
You
having
chastise
this
the man.
oversight over it,
You chastise the man. Okay, you chastise the man. Let's call it like it is.
I'm not, no, I'm not gonna chastise him. He's done a lot for this town, and I hope he doesn't have to move, because he's always served this town, and I hope he can stay here and continue to serve this town. And if this helps him to do that, then I'm supportive of it. But, by going through this process, rather than just building what he
What's
wants,
he
I think
gain?
it gives us the opportunity to put conditions on it, or to have oversight.
So why
And
do we
I think
wanna
we
do
have,
that?
and I think it gives us an opportunity to have, more input on what he's doing. So I think it's the better process that he is following.
All right, if you
But it
think
doesn't
so.
matter. If he's going to just build what he wants to build.
But they
no, I'm
have
here-
to.
I'm here listening.
I-
And Alexandria, you're asking, you would like to see a door, okay? Well, I'll tell him we're putting a door in.
You're missing the
You
whole
know,
thing here.
so I would do that, because it's more important to me to do it the right way. I know, you keep telling me, the whole board now has told me, just go build it, all right? But I'd like to come to the board. I'd
Well,
like to
what
come.
can't he put in if he just builds it?
I'm just
What is it,
gonna
the
build
stove?
it.
Just build it.
got a full kitchen, you got
Bigger.
everything he's asking
Yeah,
for.
whatever, as long as it's within the thing.
Hold
Like,
on,
yeah,
hold on.
yeah, yeah.
I want to hear from Paul for a minute.
He has to have an opening from one to the other, but it can't be closed off. It can't be a
So
separate
basically,
unit.
what I'm asking for.
No, you're asking for a door, and what he is required to do, I'm saying he's gonna do it, required to do is leave an opening.
So not a door, an actual opening without a door.
Yep.
So what I'm asking for actually gives him more.
I don't disagree with that.
Oh, okay. So just
So
so
he
we're
can
clear,
actually build
you can go
bigger.
build, and you
Yeah,
can build
I
bigger,
understand
Do
that.
it.
I understand that we can
She
do
said
that.
bigger.
and you could build bigger.
I know.
But you're having a
do it.
big, huge opening.
Right, but we know we can build bigger, right? That's not what we want. That's not what this is about. This
I
is
am.
about coming here and doing it the right way, and that's why I'm here.
Do you understand, Mr. McCarthy, by you doing, do you understand, the only thing you were losing, the only thing that you were losing is the designation that it's a family suite.
And privacy.
What do you mean?
No,
Not private.
no,
Oh, because he doesn't get the door, then I
Right,
want.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
okay,
So,
okay.
like, because it would be
An opening.
and there would be, it would be
That's
open air.
The
only
dog's
thing
running
the
back
dog
and
would
forth.
go
Back and forth, yeah.
Yeah.
Only I have a dog. They
Okay,
don't.
and I told somebody on Salem Street, when I first came in, they wanted to do something, and there was a question about a stove, and I told the person, take the stove out and put a microwave in. That makes it legal. And you know what they said to me? Thank you, Mr. Gusha. And then they withdrew the application, and they did what they had to do.
There's a,
You just don't get the
there's a
picture
family
right there.
suite, that's a family suite, less than a mile from me. You might run by the house on Salem Street. It's a two-story, it fits the home. That one actually has a front door. And that is right on Salem Street. As you come off Campbell Road, take a left, it's right on the right-hand side. It's already there. Ray Street has a two-story family suite, with two-stall garage underneath. I don't think that we're asking the board here for a lot. We want to do it the right way. And it's not about, I want to do it this way because I don't have to have an opening. That will not bother me, okay? It's not what it's about. I'm a person that likes to do things the right way. So it's not, we know we can build bigger. That's not what we're most people would do that. Most people would say, you know what, we're already concerned about the size that we're gonna, when I tell you, I wish, people on the board came by and could see the footprint and stand in there and say, okay, this is what you're doing for the next 30 years. But we're willing to do that. We're willing to do that. I'm not asking for a lot. My wife, we're not, as a family, asking for a lot. I think this is a good family suite application. And again, I hear you all. And I hope I'm not coming across, I had some news before this meeting that is on my mind, but, so I hope I think I'm a little bit more passionate. I'm not as calm as I probably, I would have been, okay?
You're fine.
You are fine, you are fine.
We're the ones that are.
I'd like to
Yeah.
say something.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, here's what's going through my mind on this. Okay, looking at sort of the check and balances of things. The addition, the size of it fits into the neighborhood because you have various size of houses. Okay, so I make a check on that one. Now, I believe I didn't print them, but I believe I also received 2 letters from neighbors supporting the project, and then there's one, the next door neighbor. So where do the neighbors that provided the supportive letters, are they, okay, we know that the opposed person lives next door. Where are the other
So
2?
one of the letters you would have got was from the opposite side.
Across the street?
That is, no, well, there's a,
One across the street.
across the
and
street,
one right
and
next
one,
door.
so what I did is, and I know that you.
Let me finish though.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the second thing that was going through my mind. Now, the third thing that goes through my mind, where I'm gonna ask you to be empathetic with us, and that is moving from in round numbers, 931 to, 1244, or whatever the numbers are, that 240 feet. When we go, oh, that's only 5%. But the math that I use is the math that Paul uses, and that is that 240 feet as a percentage of the 931, that's a lot. So I just want you to be aware that that's a very significant request for the variance. That it may be 5%, but as a percentage of the total of your addition, it's a lot. So those are the things that are going through my mind as I am listening to the discussion here.
Yeah, we actually made the front smaller, went in 6 feet and then out to take away. So we took away, so again, that's another thing we have to deal with is how do we place furniture in there, you know, it's cut up now. Again, we tried. You know, we would have loved to seen, but if you, did anyone drive by my lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been difficult to put the one story there. It wouldn't, and again, it wouldn't have looked like, I think you can visualize that. And again, I know we can build bigger. It wasn't about that. We wanted to stay within, as close as we could to what the intent is here. And I know a lot of people have on their mind that this is, you know, elderly people, but I think we have to look at it as it's a family issue. And I think we're providing that. And again, I respect everybody's what you had to say tonight. I do. And I know boards are made up of opinions. You have to look at, you know, what your bylaws are telling you, but again, your opinion have to come in. I honestly don't feel like we're overstepping it. I don't think it's something that you're going to look at in saying that we made a mistake. But again, it is, we'll respect your decision.
Are there any further questions for the applicant?
I have a couple of ideas. I think just since it's come up a couple of times, I might want to help you kind of punctuate it, which is that if somebody comes in, I'm going to speak for myself. I think I'm speaking for the balance of the board. If somebody came in with the enormous family suite that was over a 2-car garage, I'm pretty sure that would be bounced by this board based on the experience that we just had last month. Again, continuing to compare these projects is not necessarily a healthy exercise, I think, for you or for the board. But I will certainly put a pin in that one and say that whatever you're pointing to over a 2-car garage is likely not something that the board would tolerate. That this board, maybe there would be another board next month, next year, next decade, but I'm pretty certain that the voice is here. The other thing I noticed in the letter, and a couple of things that might offer some soothing for Mr. Kush's concerns, is that the board can certainly put conditions on this. If there is a concern that the addition is going to become an actual second, apartment unit, my expectation would be that somebody down the road, because it's his lot, he can do what he pleases, just put a strip of a driveway right there, and like you've got a second unit that you could rent out quite easily. But the board could certainly put a condition on any decision here that says you can't put a driveway in whatever the western section, or you can't put a garage in the western section of the lot. The board can certainly be creative in that way.
You think a driveway is going to stop somebody from renting that apartment?
I don't think it's going to
Honestly,
stop somebody, but the ease with which the attractiveness with which somebody
Put down crushed stone or something, right?
But I mean, everybody.
That's still a driveway.
Everybody here who can rent what they have now. I could rent my house right now.
You can rent your house as a single-family house, not with you in it.
Right.
But for example, you can't bring in
A second
Paul,
unit.
and you can't bring in me and throw us in one of your bedrooms and rent them out to us.
Yes,
That
you
you legally you cannot.
People do.
Doesn't
You
that?
rent up to 4 bedrooms.
Okay. Correction.
So
Not
I mean,
related?
He has to live there too. He can't just have them in there. He could bring them in.
And they don't have to be.
quarters.
They don't have to be related, and it's not considered a boarding house.
A boarding house would be 6 or more individuals.
Okay. So there you go. You can.
But he, like I said, the point is he has to live there too. He can't just do like a ABV and just rent the rooms out and not him living there too. That's the stipulation.
So you can live with a bunch of strangers if you want.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not as easy. I didn't mean to get on you on that, but it's just, a lot of people, they've tried. And they tried to just, they had 4 different people living in it without the homeowner.
All again I can say is the renting part has come up. This is going to be this. I can just tell you, and you guys have to make a decision on what we're telling you. But this is the McCarthy home. This will be the McCarthy home well after I'm gone. My son is not investing in coming over here and then get rid of the family home. So
Mr. McCarthy, when Abraham Lincoln went out to see a play that night, do you think anybody knew what was going to happen to him?
Let's not bring John Booth into this.
Okay.
I mean, you're getting me
Things
closer
happen.
and closer now. I think this is the
Things happen.
third one. I want to,
How about that couple on the Merrimack River? who
No,
just
I know,
lost a
we
mother and
can,
his-
we
and-
can,
and
you know,
his son?
hypothetical. all-
Okay, things happen.
You know, I know, things-
It's not a perfect world.
I respect what you're doing. I really do. I'll echo Michael and say that I think it is a very generous thing you're doing. I think it's good to keep families together. My daughter just wants me to give her my house. And she doesn't care.
tried that.
She doesn't care where I end up, all right? So I think, you get a better deal.
Just a thought for you.
This-
I want them close. We drive to North Andover all the time to see them.
Yeah, but the issue of, will an in-law suite or a family suite become a rental property? I guess there's always a risk of that, but the code does allow for family suites with permission, and I take it as, your word that that's not going to happen, just as I take it as everybody's word that it's not going to happen. I don't think anybody goes into this requesting this, saying that as soon as everybody's back is turned, we're going to go rent this out to a bunch of Merrimack students. Right? I just don't think that's going to happen. Having said my soapbox piece, let me ask, are there any other questions for the applicants?
Not for me, Mr. Chair.
Nope.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this issue? No. All right. Then, do I hear a motion to close?
Do they want?
Well, am I available for a final comment?
Do you want to continue, maybe perhaps to next?
No? Nothing else? Okay, thank you.
If I could just make one point. If I walked into here tonight and said that, this family suite is one floor and it's 800 square feet, isn't it the same that the concern would be at some point this could be rented? Every one of these that you approve would be the same. I mean, because mine is 2 floors, it becomes more of a,
Yeah, that's not a concern that all of us share, okay? I mean, again, I think, Alan has raised this a number of times, that any family suite has the potential to become a rental unit, which is not allowed. That is not my opinion. The people who are asking for family suites are doing it for a reason, and we've seen a lot of these where, they're trying to, a family in a house is trying to put a family suite on so their elderly parents can come and stay and have the family look after them. You're doing a little bit of a reverse on that, but the concept is the same. So it's not something we all share.
And to answer your question, if you were to come in here looking for a one-floor unit with approximately 800 square feet, I'm sure that would have flown. Not looking for a second apartment.
I would have said that as well.
Okay.
Where do I sign up for that one?
Yeah, where do I sign up for that one? If
We
I'm
actually
looking
had a
at,
really great one that came through, that Alan surprisingly did okay.
right, if we're looking at something, 800 square feet on one floor, to me, that's truly a family suite.
but it's still not something that, would be a potential,
The likelihood, yes, everything is a possibility, but the likelihood of that happening is a lot less than me looking at something with a bath and a half.
right, so I would have built something.
Still only one bedroom.
Well,
I
if I was
understand.
able to build on one floor, 800 square feet, it would have had 2 bedrooms, because it's so large, right? So now we're looking at a 2-bedroom, that makes it even more. We couldn't do that, we put together what we thought.
Understood. We're going in circles, kind of. You asked a question, would the 800 square foot one level unit have gotten approval? Yes is my answer. Yes was Alan's answer.
Well,
We
my
answered your
question
question.
was, would it still be as valuable as a rental property? That was my point, not whether you would pass it.
That's what Merrimack's doing, yeah. So, I'm getting a question from my co-chair.
Oh, just whether or not they want it closed or they want to continue until August.
Right. So that's the question I will ask you. Given that, if you have kind of a sense of where the board is, are you at all interested in taking a revised look at this and making a couple of changes that may fit some of the concerns that you've heard?
Well, I would take what Mr. Koch said. I would be willing to put in a condition that there would never be a driveway or a garage. And I would put a condition on that there's a entryway, doorway in between. And I would like the board to vote on that tonight.
Right. But you want to stick with the same size?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, again, I
Right
don't
to
know,
do
I
it.
know how else I can, it would just, it wouldn't work for us.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be, because I know I could have done something bigger, and
Yeah.
that was not the intent. It was just something and this is what the architect gave us. Here it is.
No, I got it.
So-
Okay, no, I was just asking the question.
Okay.
All right, any more questions?
Move that we close the public meeting.
Hold on.
Yeah,
If we would,
let's go back.
wait a minute, if we put some kind of a condition, like something like a doorway, do we get to dictate, like, I guess my thing is do we dictate where that is, or is it a matter of they just have to have a doorway somewhere connecting the two?
I think that you could certainly modify the plan, just like.
But then don't we run into a problem if they're not happy with the modification of the plan?
Well, you would do it tonight.
But after the,
Pull the plan out, draw the door, and then it would be in accordance with the approval would be in accordance with the plans as presented and corrected.
Wouldn't it be easier just to continue it until you have it?
Well, what we're hearing from Mr. McCarthy
Well,
is
I
that he
mean,
doesn't
you're
want
not
to
meeting
continue.
again till
I really
August.
would appreciate if there were one voice at a time.
I'm sorry.
I think what we heard from Mr. McCarthy is that he wants a vote tonight.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm not certain
I
that that's
understand.
wise,
Yeah,
but
okay.
that's what he has said, and so
I
I think that
understand.
that's what we should likely revisit.
Okay.
If
I
you-
just want to make sure we're not screwing with the applicant in the sense of like, if we decide on a door in spot A, but spot A isn't where they would put it, because we've closed the meeting,
Then he would just have to come back for a modification.
okay. Making sure.
It wouldn't be a whole new variance, right? It would be.
Well, he's coming back in August anyway, at that point. Okay.
And again, I'm sorry,
We're
Mr. Clark.
coming back in August?
If, like, I guess my concern is, so if I sit here and say, okay, this is where I'd say put a door, and they turn around and say, no, but we have to put a door, and that's not where we're gonna put a door. But the meeting's been closed,
Well, we don't close the meeting, don't vote until the look, it's entirely up to the applicant. If the applicant wants to go forward with a vote tonight, he has heard the comments from the board. I would suggest that the vote would fail. And so even with that particular modification, I think the vote would fail. I'm not suggesting what everybody's votes is, but I'm just reading the room. So it's entirely up to the applicant. If the vote fails tonight, then you would need to, this would be on essentially on ice for 2 years unless there were major modifications to the plan.
Yeah, and I apologize, but Mr. Kusia asked me a question. He was looking at me. I answered it. I didn't, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Look, there's oftentimes pandemonium in the room. And
No, I
think
understand,
everybody
but
presents
I
it.
don't want to come across rude.
Understood.
Michael, you gonna try your motion again?
Well, do we want
Can I
to
ask a
first
question?
first want to set up the stipulation before we close? Because
If the board does not approve it tonight, it's got a 2-year waiting period, that doesn't preclude him from revising the plan so that it's not
well, then he can go build
a
what he
family
wants to build.
suite.
Okay.
He could come back with an as-of-right plan and get a permit, right?
Okay, Mr. Hutchinson, should he be disapproved? And I understand the 2 years to come back.
no.
Don't put that on him.
Okay. Actually, the only thing he loses is the right to come back for a family union. He can
Unless
still
it's
build the
changed.
property.
Unless it's significantly.
He can
different,
still
yes.
build the unit, but it can't be called the family unit. So
Yeah,
the
that's
only
what
thing,
I'm asking.
so the only thing he's losing, so he doesn't lose the 2 years. He doesn't lose the 2
That's
years, he
all
can
I'm
still
asking.
build.
I think I hear where you're headed, and I think I'll offer this, that we can certainly bifurcate the vote. There can be a vote on the family suite, the special permit for the family suite, the use, and then there's a vote on the variance.
The size of it.
Yeah, the size variance.
All right, I
Could we,
move that we close the public meeting.
Did you want to?
well, I just want to, obviously I want to speak to my wife, my son. Could we have, 2 minutes outside?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There wouldn't be a variance, correct?
But why do you need a variance?
There's no variance.
There's no variance.
If he wants to build his 4 walls.
Right, but there's, yeah, there's no reason for a variance. The only thing that he would be losing would be the special permit.
That's it.
And privacy. I'm just saying it is one extra thing
Kurt,
that
you
you
know what?
keep not saying.
Curtain rod.
I don't think we can discuss it without the applicant.
Okay. But I mean, I'm just saying, you said a variance, I don't see a variance.
As a technical matter, Ron, as a technical matter, you should recess 2 minutes. Just call it recess.
Okay.
Just say it out loud.
All right,
Just say
let's
it now.
time it anyway. Recess, 2 minutes.
So I think,
Back in session.
Oh, back in session. Thank you, Paul.
so after, discussing, I think we're just going to withdraw it without prejudice.
All right,
All right.
then we just need a motion to accept, unless there's conversation, we just need a motion to accept.
And what does that do for me in the future?
You can come back.
You can come back. Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you want.
Okay. It
Just
just
not
gives
July.
it gives us a little bit more time to because the impression I'm getting
So
tonight
now, just
is.
to let you know, if you withdraw, and if you come back for another family suite, you have to go through the whole process
Right.
again
You have to
with
be
advertising and the expense of that. So just,
The alternative, again, not giving you legal advice, what most applicants do is they say, let's continue for 30 days, or 60 days, or 90 days, or whatever it is, then you can, have that time to.
and then
Yeah.
And you
eventually
can still
withdraw.
withdraw later if you decide
Yes.
you want to.
Okay, so we could withdraw
So
anytime.
the previous applicant, just for reference, had a meeting last month, continued, and then announced this month that they wanted to withdraw. And
Yep.
so you can always do that too.
Yeah. So if you would like to continue for roughly a 60-day period, that would be fine. And if you think that whatever change or no change you want to make fits, that's great. If during that period you want to withdraw, that's great too. Which would you like?
You lose nothing by continuing.
Yeah.
If you withdraw, then you essentially lose your place in
So
line.
tomorrow, after we have more time to talk, if we decide we're going to withdraw anyways, that doesn't
You can
affect
still do
anything.
it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that then.
Sleep
All
on
right.
it.
So are you asking for a continuance until what month would you like?
Well-
August is the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna have to sign a time waiver though.
What day?
August 16th.
Yeah. All right. Now is that a motion?
Go ahead.
I move that we continue this item until August.
16.
16?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thanks so much.
You are
Good night.
continued. All right, which brings us to item 5 on the agenda.
Excuse me, Mr. McCarthy.
Item 5 on the, we have a miscellaneous?
We have a miscellaneous. It is my pleasure to be Mr. Miscellaneous,
What's wrong with miscellaneous?
which is better than Mr.
You get
Irrelevant,
crowned
which is on the
for a
football
sash.
draft. No, I think as we are all aware, this is the last meeting for Paul and for Ellen. And one of the reasons we're all aware of that is they've made no try to hide this in any manner and have been gloating about it for a few meetings now. So the time has finally come. So I thought it was, I asked Alexandria and Jen to look up how long you guys have been on the board. Paul, you joined in 2011. So let's say 11 years. And Ellen, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Good
your
night.
service as well.
And Ellen, 1995.
Yes.
I was in high school then.
Maybe.
27 years.
1995.
I don't want to know what grade I was in.
Yeah.
That might have been
So-
my sergeant.
As you guys all know, right? I mean, I don't go down to Market Basket or Wine Connection and have people come up to me and say, thank you very much for being on the zoning board. Really appreciate what you've done to the town. But any of us who have done this in any board know the commitment that it takes to do that. The amount of meals you miss, the time you're rushing out of work to get to a meeting, kids' things you might skip. I mean, it is a commitment, but it is one of those commitments that makes a small town go. And without people on boards like this and people who serve long tenures and bring experience to it, the town just doesn't go. So just because nobody won't say thank you to you in Market Basket doesn't mean that we can't say thank you to you here. So I think I'm pretty confident in saying that on behalf of the town of North Andover. Thank you for very long and consistent and meritorious service to the board. I would like to pass it to my co-chair to add on to this as well.
So I'm officially becoming the only female of the zoning board, which also leaves me to be the zoning board wife. So the zoning board wants to thank both of you.
Angela was the last time we had a zoning board wife. And that's how long? 6 years? 7 years?
We as a board appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Both of you have brought years of experience, opinions, jokes, arguments,
Color.
color. I know that I will miss you guys both truly. But hopefully, you guys will never forget us.
Well, I'll go first. I want to thank you guys for coming on board, and I'm going to, in particular, thank Ron for taking over the gavel, for crying out loud. Ron talks about the commitment and the work. It's the in-between meetings stuff that he's mostly referring to. And I would encourage everybody, as I have, to take a run at the chair. Like if and or when you get up to like the full member, because they won't let you as an associate be an officer. That's the Mass statutes, I believe. But take a run at it just so that you can have a look behind the curtain and have an appreciation for what Ron is now doing. And presumably along the way, he would certainly he's going to train Alexandria up, and then she'll train somebody else. But the experience over the last 11 years was awesome. One of the things that I like best is that I came on as an associate, and I think it was either 1 month or 2 I became a full member. Ellen had to wait
Probably 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she started as secretary.
Nope. I started actually off in the festival committee doing sheep sharing. And
and
they
then
needed a token female.
So is that just because you threatened somebody after the meeting or something like that?
It was mutiny.
it's kind of like this. Like 2 people just rolled off the board all of a sudden in like November or December, something like that. So it opened up, the full. And the board wasn't as staffed back then either. We were carrying only 5 or 6 at the time, rather than the full. What do we have? 8, I think. Having 8 is, it's something that Al Manzi, for all the things that I may have disagreed with Al about, he was a staunch advocate for, please just get me people on the board so that you're not stuck with a 4-person quorum sometimes. But anyway, and then it wasn't long before I decided that I never wanted to be chair, because the job is awful. And then just the time came when I changed my mind, and I didn't want it for long. I wanted it long enough to have the experience, and then have somebody else have the experience, because I do believe that anybody holding the gavel for too long, there's just a calcification, I think, of ideas and the board, because there's just not a trajectory for the associates to go anywhere if the officers stay in place too long. So anyway, I have loved my 11-ish years here on the board. I'm at the same time, I'm going to embrace the time that I'll recapture. I've already joined. I myself have joined another board. Ellen is just going to move out of town, and I don't know what she's ride off into the sunset.
Where did you move to, Ellen?
No place yet.
She's living in a box on the side of the road.
I'm going to an apartment in Lawrence.
In Lawrence?
Yes.
Would you like to reflect on your 27 years?
So I don't know if you're done, Paul. Did you?
I'm done, because Ellen has far more awesome war stories. I mean, Ellen got the strip club, for crying out loud, which I've always been envious of.
I'm jealous.
Twice, not once, twice.
She chaired the strip club, for crying out loud. Talk about awful.
So in my 27-plus years, donating my time to the town, I started off as sheep sharing, doing sheep sharing, and they needed a token female. So way back when this town was a good old boy network, I was a token female on the board and did not become a member probably for like 7 years. And then I got fast-tracked into member chair. As chair, that I had to do strip joint twice, a trash recycle place, countless 40Bs, and I actually enjoyed probably every minute of it. Believe it or not, it was an honor for me to represent this town. I've had many great years here. My kids grew up here. I went to high school here. Went to school actually with Bill as well. So I will miss it. It's bittersweet for me, leaving the town that I pretty much grew up in. So, and I can honestly say, I think I've only missed 5 times in 27 years. If it was 5 times. And that one of them was surgery, so.
Oh, I think I missed 5 times already.
Yeah, let's not rack those up there, buddy.
So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of thankless hours, it's a lot of gratitude when you walk down and you say, wow, I permitted that. And then sometimes you go, oh, I permitted that, you know. There's-
My wife, we did that one.
I'm like, oh. But most of the time, I would say probably 95% of the time, I'm like, oh, wow, I feel proud of everything that I have been a member on this board for. So, and I wish you all, Ron, my book.
Oh, I didn't even know this was a book. Thank you.
That is my chair book that has some 40Bs.
You've been holding out. Okay.
Some some chair stuff,
Thank you.
some regulations on how many people can vote, and I wish you all well and good luck.
Well, I think a round of applause to our volunteer members. At this point, it does give me great pleasure to cede the chair to Ellen, so she can gavel us out.
So I want to call this meeting to order. Is that, I forget how to do it. Adjourn, I want to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh my God, it's been.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. I'm going to drop the gavel. Boom.
We are adjourned.